and welcome to another edition of the Luis and Leon show, or E Leon, not and. I'm I'm one of your co-hosts, Luis, and my homeboy. Let me get it right. Let me get it right. That's right over there.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's
Other
right, bro.
co-host, Leon. Man, how you feeling? How you doing? What's good?
It's been a week. I'm still here. It's good to see you. Good to talk with you. Always looking forward to doing the show, brother.
Indeed, indeed, man. I love it. Well, um, we got I think we got a good episode today because what we're gonna cover is the new Captain America Brave New World movie. But before we do that, I gotta get on my soapbox, bro. I gotta get on
Uh-oh.
my soapbox. I gotta
Uh-oh.
rant.
Luis on the
Um
soapbox.
because I'm feeling some kind of way. And you know what? I'm not even going to prep it. I'm just going to jump into it, right? Stephen A. Smith. If you don't know who Stephen A. Smith is, he is one of the leading personalities on ESPN. Has a show called First Take. Has his own podcast, all kind of things. He's definitely a. I cannot even go with him as a journalist right now. He is a talking head. Okay. Um,
Screaming one.
right? The angry black man syndrome.
It
I'm
is
not.
what it is.
Oh yes, I'm gonna talk about the coonery and buffoonery that he does. But before I go into that, I want to say that I actually appreciated him early on in his career. Okay, apparently he's from New York, but as for what I know about his career, he wrote for the Philadelphia Inquirer for many years, was a beat writer for them,
Hmm.
and then became a personality on ESPN with different things.
Who did he
Um,
cover when he was a beat writer?
the Philadelphia, like all of the Philadelphia sports,
Right.
the Sixers.
Particularly the Sixers, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, particularly the Sixers, and so got a break on ESPN with a show. I don't even remember what the name of the show was, but it was,
Frankly speaking.
frankly speaking, that's what it was. And his first guest was Allen Iverson, right? And obviously, at that point in Iverson's career, he was pretty polarizing, and Stephen A. did a did an excellent job in letting the world see Iverson for who he is without trying
Right.
to make him be something he wasn't. So
Right.
as a black man, I appreciate that and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, let's go with that, right?
Yeah, it was interesting because in that interview he played. I remember he played a clip of Larry Brown talking about Iverson, and he made
Mm-hmm.
Iverson cry actually
Ex-
on the air, which was
ex-
like, wow.
right, right. You don't see emotion like that, and also like Iverson probably never knew how people felt about him like
How
that.
Larry Brown felt. Yeah, that's what made him
Absolutely.
cry. Yeah,
Yep. So that's dope. Like that's all the way around. It's being real. It's being positive, right? You're actually being a real person, a real guy. So let's fast forward. Well, before we fast forward, there was a point where ESPN banished him.
hmm
He did something, said something. Don't know if it was from Frankly Speaking, but he was not on ESPN's broadcast air. He was doing the radio show,
hmm
but like, yo, they were like, you did something and we don't like it, right?
hmm
So now we fast forward to when he got his break back. They brought him back in, and that was with Skip Bayless. Right now, I'm not. This rant ain't about Skip Bayless. Don't even care about him. But he got his break, and they started this debate show, First Take. Right. Um. Okay, like cool. I used to watch it, and debate shows fine. You talking this and that for rating. Well, man, I'm sick and tired of the tirades and rants that he goes on. Okay, I'm just put it out there. His ego and the money have gotten
hmm
in the way of him being fair or him being unbiased, right? Because we hear about the Cowboys all the time. Cowboys, the team hasn't been good for a while, right? Okay, they made the playoffs, but why are we always talking about? Why is he always talking about the Cowboys? Whether it's degrading them, why are you even talking about them? Okay, you want to talk about the Lakers all the time. I'm sorry. There's a team that is leading the NBA right now. ESPN has finally started flexing their games to national games, by the way, and
Hmm.
they're in the in Northeast Ohio, right? The
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
the
talking
land.
about the Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and same thing with OKC.
Exactly. OKC is balling out of control, but you don't hear them. Ain't nobody talking about them that much. We all know Shannon Sharp is now co-host on First Take, and he's a fanboy of LeBron. So my rant is about Stephen A. Like, you have a platform, you are a media personality, you people listen to what you say for whatever reason, whether they want to disagree, agree. There comes responsibility with what you say. And people talk about, well, I got receipts and I said this and I said that. Stephen A's not stupid. So he also uses words very carefully and then
Hmm.
comes back with, well, this is what I said. But people also can feel the intent behind what you say, right? You have a responsibility for that. So the first rant that I have is, never, ever, ever should you just openly and willingly comment about someone's significant other. Unless you are in an interview and someone's asking you a question about what you thought, even then you need to be careful. What
What
am
are
I
you
talking
talking
about?
about? Yeah.
What am I talking about? Well, remember the halftime show that Kendrick Lamar did for the Super Bowl?
Hmm.
And Serena also joined the Super Bowl halftime. She was sea walking. All right.
Hmm.
Not gonna get into the history of sea walking because it's different than what y'all think. Maybe we'll bring it up on another show. Not
Right,
just
right.
not
Well,
just crip
just
walking, but
just to say that originally it was not a gang thing at all.
yes, exactly.
That's the
Not
short
it.
of it.
It was not originally a gang thing. So I loved her performance. Right out of the and people, you're allowed to feel how you feel about it. A man who is not married should never openly, willingly comment on someone else's wife. Okay, and he put on there on social media something to the effect of, if that was my wife, I'd divorce her or have something to say, whatever it was, right?
Yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
keep your mouth shut. That's not your wife, right?
Right.
Number one. Number two, her husband had a great response. And basically, I wish I had put it on slides because I would have shared it. But y'all can look it up. Y'all can Google it, whatever you want to do. But his response basically laid Stephen A out in a way that was like, I feel that you feel a certain kind of way, so you're projecting, and you don't have anybody in your life, and that's why you feel a certain kind of way. And
Yeah.
you're probably gonna end that way if you keep up with the way you feel. You know what I mean?
All right.
Man. So bro, don't do that. Keep some, as much as, let me rewind. As much as I do not condone what Will Smith did at the Oscars several years ago, and as much um, turmoil as he and his wife went through, and the joke that Chris Rock made didn't necessarily warrant the action, same kind of thing. Now that's a whole different story, whole different set. Stephen A wasn't making a joke. Stephen, and if he was, then bro, that wasn't funny. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, and he tried to like kind of walk it back later, but no, you said what you said, and we know what you meant. A lot of people
Exactly.
do that once they see the
Mm-hmm.
blowback. I'd rather you just stand on business and apologize.
Right.
That's all you got
Or
to do.
stand on business and say, yeah, I meant what I said.
Right.
Like, you ain't gotta apologize if that's how you felt, right? But my point is, like, he's a huge media personality. You have a responsibility with what you say and what you mean, right? Now, number two, man, going on a rant about Stephen A. Again, like I said, his ego and now his new $100 million contract have gotten in the way. I will give him credit for how he's parlayed his media personality into a recurring role on General Hospital. I'll give him credit for that because that's now, although his character was in a coma for a while, so he didn't have no speaking parts. But anyway, I digress. I digress. But bro, man, when you have something to say about these professional athletes, remember number one, they are human. Number two, if it's your job to analyze their performances and what they do at their job, absolutely go ahead, analyze that, but analyze it in a fair way. Whatever he said, so we know he's been in fights with KD. Going, and we know KD had a burner phone, and he be in his feelings. But yo, analyze and I don't care. He talk about his sources. Oh well, I was told by. Sometimes keep your mouth shut. You ain't got to say
Yeah.
everything
And
that you're being
and
told.
and and we already know that some of the sources that you claim to have are just you just making stuff up, like the thing with Jalen Brown. And I
Eh,
love how Jalen Brown like talked to him. And Jalen Brown is probably one of the most intelligent NBA players like ever. Like he's up there with like, Jerry
Absolutely.
Lucas and Bill Bradley and like all
Yep.
those kind of cats. Like very
Yep.
smart, like rocket scientist smart, you know?
Absolutely, man. And called him out and was like, "Cool, I'm gonna have you on my, I'm gonna be on your show. We gonna hash this out, right?" Because he talked to Stephen A. about the same shit that I'm saying right now. Like, man,
You
you got a
did.
responsibility to what
You
you're
did.
saying, right? So the latest episode that I'm referring to is, and I don't even know what was specifically said about Bronny, right? Now, folks, you can feel however you want about Bronny, all right? But I guarantee 99% of us, if we're in the same position to get our child some kind of position and you get to be with them in that position, especially in sports, man, you're going to take advantage of that if you got influence, right?
Yeah.
Let's not talk about the nepotism that goes on in the front offices anyway, right?
Well, and just in the world,
In
period.
the
Like
world,
we see it
exactly.
day in, day out. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
he's doing this. And I mean, I think Bronny will be a decent NBA player. Will he be a
Ex-
superstar? Probably not, but
right.
he'll be a solid NBA player because he's shown flashes in the G League.
I agree 100%. He's averaging 22, like 7 rebounds and like 4 assists in the G League. So let's not forget that the kid almost died less than
Right.
2 years ago. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Had a heart attack during a practice. So let's
Right.
keep it in
That's right.
perspective.
That's
Keep it in
right.
perspective. So whatever was said, what happens is during the Lakers game, the Laker Knicks game, Stephen A. was sitting there courtside. I believe it was between either third and fourth quarter or somewhere before the game is over. LeBron walked up to him, and the clip is viral, so you can look it up for
Oh, I didn't
yourself.
see that. I didn't know about
Yeah,
that. Okay, yeah, no, no,
yeah. So
inform me. I didn't
the
know.
clip is it's out
What
there. It
happened?
went
What happened?
viral. He basically walked up to him and was like, "Keep stop talking about Bronny. Keep his effing name out your mouth, right? Stop talking about." He's like, "That's my son. That's my kid.
Right,
Stop that
right,
shit." Right?
right,
Now,
right,
again, I don't know specifically what Stephen A. had said, but when you got LeBron, people you can think however they want. But again, let's put this in perspective. If you want to analyze Bronny's play, go ahead and do it. But you don't get to talk about a man's family in a way that ain't about what job they're doing, right? And the kid almost died less than 2 years ago
right,
while playing. Okay,
right,
so he confronts Stephen A. and Stephen A. stands there and takes it, right? And then apparently maybe Stephen A. tried to say something and LeBron walked off. Like, nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
right,
But keep his name out
right.
your mouth, right? So
Okay. I
then
respect that
Friday,
as a father.
100%, 100%. So Stephen A. comes back on first take apparently on Friday morning that next day, and addresses it because he says his bosses at ESPN said it went viral, so he needed to address it, right? It- and basically, now any other player, he's coming with the heat, right? But
Hmm.
he so this how you know he knows he was wrong for whatever
Yeah.
happened
Yeah,
because
because you
now
messing
he
with the money.
there you go, and he's talking about LeBron approached me as a father, not as a player. This, and this, and I respect that, and I know Stephen A. has kids too, so that's why like I can't
Oh,
stand
does
that
he? I
his
didn't know
ego.
that.
I believe he has a son, if not a son, and a daughter, but
Okay.
I know he's
Okay.
got at least one kid. So
Okay.
this is what really irks me, right? You're this media personality, you got multiple platforms on ESPN and your own show. You could choose uplifting, right? You could choose uplifting these players, or not even uplifting, but being fair, right? You could choose that. You know when you cross the line. You don't want nobody talking about your kids, right? You don't want
Right.
nobody doing that. So why would you do that about someone else's kids? We also can go back to how he kind of went in on the WNBA and talked about their ratings and this, that, and the other. I'm glad that my girl Monica McNutt put him in his place. Like you had the platform that you could have pumped this up years ago, and
Right.
then he
And you
he
didn't.
and he tried to come back with, well, I've given all these people chances and jobs and this. Don't talk about it, bro. Be about it. Because if
It
you
was
do
so
it,
interesting because when she said that,
mm-hmm.
you could tell he had no idea what to say back. Him nor Shannon did. Like, and she
And
just
when you,
leaned back in her chair. Like
hey,
that was cold blooded. I love that
it
she did
was.
that.
It was. It meant, and I've loved her ever since, man. I will follow her career because she kept it real, right? She didn't say nothing wrong, but that's the thing. If you've got that influence, then don't talk shit when someone calls you out for not using your influence. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, man, I'm off my soapbox now. But like, yo, your ego and your money, don't do stuff for clicks, man. If you're doing it, or be real about why you're doing it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm gonna jump on the soapbox with you because
Okay,
I don't think that it's fair how ESPN has gotten away, and even Fox News has gotten away from real journalists. Like they fired all of them, and they just have
exactly.
personalities. And like you said, they talk about like the Cowboys, the Lakers, the Knicks, and there's like one or two other teams that you just know some kind of way like
Hmm.
they're going to find a way to sneak that in there. They cannot go a week without mentioning these people, even off season, right? When there's
Exactly,
all kinds
exactly.
of things that are going on. And I do
Hmm.
love like what Charles Barkley said this week. I just happened to
Hmm.
catch Inside the NBA and he called all of them out. He called Stephen A. Smith and he called out Kendrick Perkins too. And he's
Yeah.
just like y'all are
Hmm.
clowns, and he's like, I know we're gonna go over there and work for y'all, and that's just a side, thing. 'Cause I love that
Because
Barkley said it, and
yeah,
they're going to rent Inside the NBA because all of ESPN's in studio shows about the NBA suck. All of them
they're awful.
suck.
They're
The people
awful.
that they have on there suck. They all, and I'm gonna say
Hmm.
that with my whole chest. They suck. They need to get rid of them. Malika, all of them need to go. They're terrible,
They're
terrible,
awful. Awful.
terrible. But anyway, yeah, but just like calling, KD out, like
Hmm.
calling what was it? Kawhi Leonard, the worst superstar ever, right?
Bro.
Like, and don't get me
Bro.
wrong, as a fan, like the whole old management thing does like cheese me off and stuff like that. And they want to talk
Hmm.
about, Kobe and all of them. Kobe would have never taken a night off. Jordan never took a night, like none of that stuff, because they knew people were coming to pay to see them. So I
To
get the criticisms about,
sure
players
about
not
load
playing and
management.
load management and all that
Right.
stuff. But to
Right.
attack them personally and say that you know things about them when you really don't know them,
Hmm.
like it's unfair. And for LeBron to clap back even about being the face of the league and people tearing the
And
league down,
people
like
not want to
all of
be the
that
face of
stuff
the
is
league
true.
because of that. Exactly. Right. And
Yeah,
that like
yeah.
don't talk shit to get ratings or clicks. You know what I mean?
Well,
If
yeah, but that's where we are, like as a society, like
yeah,
unfortunately. But that's
everybody wants something
why,
to go viral or
right,
again get because I'm gonna tell you what, we ain't on this soapbox, we ain't on this rant for clicks. I'm gonna tell you that.
right,
I'm just telling you, like the whole thing for me started with how are you gonna call you ain't even married, bro. You ain't even married, and I'm talking about
right,
Stephen A. But you gonna talk about someone else's wife? Um,
right,
I'm so if her husband ain't had no problem with her involvement with the halftime show, ain't nobody else
right,
got shit to say. Ain't nobody else got
right.
shit to say. You know what I mean?
I agree. I mean, you can
Bro.
offer
Mm-mm.
your commentary, but why? Like that was like a stray. Like she caught a stray for that for no reason. And
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know,
Now I'm gonna take it to a deeper level real quick, right? If you're upset because you're a black man and she ain't married to a black man, come out and say that then. Come out and say that, right? Like as
hmm
you said, stand on business with what you really mean, right?
hmm
But I'm
hmm
sorry, um, you ain't married. And whatever relationships you have, you keep them private. Cool. You ain't got nothing to say about someone else's wife, or and I'm
yeah,
saying in general, someone else's significant
yeah,
other. If they ain't
yeah,
got a problem with it, you shouldn't either. You know what I mean?
yeah. I agree. I just wish that these journalists would be a little bit more kind. It goes back to what Jalen Rose
Mm-hmm.
said about Skip Bayless years ago. Like, you don't know what it takes to do this. You probably played JV and were trash. And then they
Well, it
reprimanded Jalen for that, but Jalen was totally right
he was
about
right,
what he said. Like, I
and
mean,
hmm and I even get it too, even with the personalities. I'm not even gonna call them journalists no more because they don't do much journalism anymore.
mhm,
But I get it that to be at the top of that game too, there has to be some ego and some part of it that you believe you're the best. I get it. You have to do that. You have to believe in yourself. But you can believe in yourself and have ego without tearing other people down. You know what I mean? You can do it. It's just a choice. It's a choice.
yeah, yeah. It's
Man.
just it's not decent.
Mm-mm.
But
Not at
I mean,
all.
as a result, like I think one of the things that the players have started to do is stuff like that, is that they've launched, these podcasts, like Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Clark with the Pivot,
Pivot
All the
or
Smoke podcast is really
yeah.
good.
Yep.
And,
The
and, and I've
Kevin.
learned so many things from listening to those podcasts, to hear the players talk about what happened behind the scenes, and you just seeing
Exactly.
what the media
Yep.
presents to you. And
Mm-hmm.
even things like the Players Tribune, which I think is awesome, where the players get to pen like
They're the
essays
what
about whatever they want,
exactly.
and
Because they
it's
even
and it's
brought up like the
phenomenal.
mental health. They talked about
Yep,
mental health for a long
yep,
time. You would
yep.
never hear Kevin Love or DeMar DeRozan talk about depression in men,
Exactly,
right? Like, come on, man.
exactly,
I love it. So,
exactly. And even
ooh,
like like Aja Wilson talking about like her dyslexia, for
yep,
example. Like
yep.
that was really good, and her struggles like with that. Like that was cool, you know?
And that's you get to see that they're real people. So these personalities that pick and pick and pick, like man, they're real people that have worked all their lives, and there's only a certain set of people who are in the NBA, the G League, the WNBA, right? So you're
Hmm.
elite of elite, and man, like they're real people. But, brother, I appreciate you letting me be on that soapbox and you being on it
That's
with me.
fine. That's fine. I'll probably
we,
have one the next episode.
absolutely, and like I said,
No, it's
this is a
good. Good.
variety
I
show,
agree with
man.
you.
It's a variety show that we gonna bring you what we think about everyday stuff, right? Um, But let's take a break because this episode is called From Clarence to Captain America. And there's a reason why we're going to do a little review for you after the break about a movie that just came out. So stay tuned, hang tight. We'll be right back. All right, folks, welcome back from the break. Um, we've cooled down. We're off our soapboxes now. We're on to bigger and better things. But the real part of wanting to bring this episode to you is there is a new movie out, Captain America: Brave New World, and both of us have seen it, but we didn't see it at the same time. I went and saw it the second weekend it was out, and bruh,
think I
I,
saw it
I I
like the
loved it.
third.
You saw it the third
Hmm.
weekend.
Hmm.
I loved it. I loved it. Now, um, I was doing all the reading of these reviews up until the movie was released and all this stuff. Even after it was released, I want to say this before I get into why I love it so much. Um, I think the negative reviews are there for several reasons. Number one, it's because I'm gonna just say it. People hate to see a white Captain America replaced with a black Captain America. Okay,
Yep.
that's number one. So number two, I also believe that if you are all these reviews, if you are a casual fan of hero movies, of
Yeah,
superhero
yeah,
movies,
normie. That's what we call y'all,
a
normies.
normie,
Yeah.
then there's plenty of things that may not quite have sat right with you, right? Because you're not, you may not know the canon, you may not know the comic version. So I can see some of that. As a media and film person, I definitely get some of the reviews because there was a lot of rumors about all these reshoots, right? And so even watching the movie physically from that point of view, there were many different missed match sequences. So
Yes.
so
Yes, 100%.
and I know you know that too. So I can understand that part from the negative reviews. But if you so as a standalone film, I think
There's a third thing
oh,
too that
go
that
for it.
that we need to mention is that
Okay.
there are critics that just want comic book movies to fail, and they keep talking about comic book movie fatigue. So they keep talking about it. They want it to fail, so they just say
That part.
negative things. So
Right, right.
there's that
No
that's
matter if
there
it's good
too.
or not. Mm-hmm.
Right. No matter if it's good, they just want it to go away.
100%. And it's not going away. Okay?
It's not.
It's not going away. So I loved it because as a standalone film, I can see why certain dialogue had to be a certain way. Because if you've not seen the Incredible Hulk with the Ed Norton version, if you've not seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, and if you've not seen what was the Skrull Invasion, the
Secret
one of the
Invasion.
Secret Invasion, right? If you haven't seen that, there might be a lot of things that you wouldn't understand just watching this film alone. So you had
Well,
to have dialogue and some sequences to kind of fit those things in. What were you gonna say?
but
Go ahead.
there's also, so I mean, and we also saw in Endgame the handover of the shield, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
know if nothing else, you saw that, so you knew that this was coming, right? Even if you
Right.
didn't see, Falcon and Winter Soldier the show, this
Right.
was coming. The other part is that there was a gap. They did not really explain the Serpent Society at all. That was my biggest gripe with everything.
Yeah.
Is like this just materializes out of nowhere. I mean, obviously I'm a comic book person, so I know what the Serpent Society is and the
Mm-hmm.
relationship with Captain America and all that kind of stuff. But they
Which,
didn't explain that very well at all.
and I was upset with that too, right? Because they could have at least um, covered it a little bit better. Like we all of a
Hmm.
sudden just have this character who, and you're mentioning the Serpent Society, like where'd that come from? You know?
Right.
Now I love how who they cast for it, for
Yeah.
damn
Yeah.
sure.
Great
That was
villain.
dope. Yeah, but yeah, they could have addressed that a little bit better, right? Um, they also could have addressed his love interest a little bit better. They could have
Right.
addressed that because there's a hint of it in the movie, but you're like, well, wait a minute, is that the actual character? Is that who he leans on? But they don't really go into that. Um, but again, I said I loved it, and I loved it because uh I needed to see that, and I actually texted you when I saw it. but
Yeah, you
but I
did.
was
You
like,
did.
I needed to see that movie at that time in my life because there's so many things that both of us are working on, right? And as a black man, that inspired me to continue doing what I'm doing, right? And
Hmm.
I'm probably gonna get the line wrong, but and spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, in the scene near the end of the movie where the new Falcon is recovering, right, and he's in bed and talking about how he was inspired by almost called him Clarence,
Yeah,
inspired
Sam.
by Captain America, Sam Wilson, and the Falcon is like, man, how do you do it? How do you not make mistakes? How do you do this? And Sam Wilson says, I have to be on point because if I'm not, I have to be on point so that I can be the voice for all those people who do not have a seat at the table, who cannot speak for themselves. Because if I'm
Hmm.
not, then they don't have that. That was a great line, man. That hit me. I was like, ooh, I got to be on point. And there's a reason I'm on point. It's for those who don't have a voice, those who don't have a seat at the table. That's why, right? And I love how they have followed. If for those of y'all who don't know the comic version, this is real. Like Falcon became Captain America. So
Hmm.
for anybody who's got some kind of reason they don't like it, I guess you don't like the comics either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I'll say there were some people who didn't like the comics either, but I mean,
Right, right.
that's
But
it just is what it is, you
well,
know?
well, like I said at the beginning, we know that y'all don't want a white Steve Rogers replaced with a black Sam Wilson as Captain America, right?
Right,
That's just a
right,
thing. I also like the fact that he didn't take the super serum, right?
right,
He did not take it. He wished he did, but seeing his struggle with it, right? That's a real thing that we struggle with in real life. Like, man, I wish I had this or wish I had that, but he didn't compromise himself, you know?
right. Yep. And I like that
Yeah,
Bucky, gave him, reassurance that he's the right
absolutely.
person and he's doing the right things. And, it's going
Mm-hmm.
to be interesting too, just to see that he's been charged with reforming the Avengers. So I know a lot of
Yeah.
heads are going to explode, with that.
Yep.
And they have given him, a lot of um, uh, uh, credence with that, with like the What If show where he's leading, like
Totally.
with the Mac episode where he's leading, the Avengers and all that stuff. The
Yep.
other thing too that's true in the comics canon, if you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
actually, Wakanda has always like supported Falcon, and Black Panther made him wings. So that's like that's even in like the canon, is that
Yep.
T'Challa, I think it's issue maybe 118 or something like that, because I actually have the issue where he does get new and improved wings
Oh, dope.
um
From
from
Wakanda.
from
Yeah.
from Black Panther. Black Panther
Mm-hmm.
specifically gives him, wings or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I agree with you. I thought the movie was good. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably one of the best Marvel movies that they've had in a while, because a lot of them have just not been good
They
at
haven't hit.
all.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, they have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Even
not
though I've
not
seen them,
not
I'm
for.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, some of them I'm like, I'm not gonna go to the theater and see them just because the premise is bad. Like, what are y'all doing at this point?
Right,
Um,
right.
but this looks good. Thunderbolts, I'm kind of about.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, me too. I got to read more about it. I might not go see that in the theater, but I went and saw this one in the theater. I was like, oh, I need to go, and I need to go now.
yeah, yeah. The other thing,
Yeah,
side note, like the Daredevil started, and Daredevil hits too. Like the first
I
two episodes drop and they hit.
I I'm gonna watch those soon because I know that they hit, and I haven't watched them yet. So don't spoil. No spoiler. No, I'm
No,
kidding.
no, no. I'm not. No, I'm not gonna tell you what
Yeah.
happens, but it's pretty good, thus
Yep.
far.
And I read how
Um,
they had to actually make a change from the first season to make it work. So I'm looking forward to watching that too. So
yeah, 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 yeah.
cool,
Yeah. So
man. Well,
why
oh,
are we talking about from Clarence? the captain. What's
for
in the name here?
for those of y'all who don't know Anthony Mackie's filmography or film history, one of his first, I would say, mainstream movies was 8 Mile. All right. And that was kind of the story about Eminem coming to prominence as a rapper. Well,
Hmm.
when they used to have these battles back in Detroit, Anthony Mackie's character Clarence was at the top, right, and his crew was
Papa
running the
Doc.
show.
Hmm.
Papa Doc, that's it. So his real name was Clarence, right, and that's how Eminem made up this rap about Clarence, his two good parents, and he's all this stuff. Um, but watching Anthony Mackie from that role, and I've seen other movies other than him being Sam Wilson, right? Like I like his progression. He's had a really good career, right? And so, what better way to really talk about and use our platform this episode from Clarence to Captain America? That's a big deal, you know. Like they don't just
Hmm.
choose anybody for that, and he's
Hmm.
been a great Sam Wilson, and I think he's going to be an amazing Captain America. Yeah.
It is. It
So,
is.
any final thoughts on Clarence before we break up? Before we let go?
No, I mean, just I think that the way that he's promoting, the film, I know he had gotten in trouble for with some of the things that he said, but he ain't back down. Like, I totally agree with him. And there in comics, there are some characters who are just like legacy. They're legacy characters. It's a mantle to be passed, and Captain America is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
In the years when Steve went off the scene, even in the comics, there were a number of Captain Americas who came after him before he reemerged again. Actually, so
Mm-hmm.
that's and there are other instances. I won't go down this rabbit hole, but there are other instances of legacy characters in comics. So
Yeah.
this is not, an unusual occurrence. It's just that this particular incarnation is black. Is black. All the others were white.
Yep. Little spoiler alert here. I'm gonna drop some knowledge about. You talk about legacy characters. Do
Hmm.
y'all know about Wonder Woman's twin sister,
Oh, yeah.
Nubia? Y'all know about her?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
well,
Hold on. Yeah, keep talking.
yeah,
Keep talking.
yeah.
Keep talking.
While we're dropping that knowledge, um, there she has a twin sister. So it was made from when Diana was made of clay, right? Her mom made her of clay. Well, the story goes that she actually made two daughters, and
Did.
one was kept on the island, and one went to a different continent. Well, Nubia was the other one that was made from clay and went to the African continent. She ended up becoming the Amazon queen, and also had bested Wonder Woman or Diana in
In
battle
single
in order to
combat.
become the
Yeah.
queen. Hmm. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's some legacy characters who, it changes, but I'll drop more knowledge about Nubia in another episode for sure. For sure.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I
Oh,
gotta
yeah, yeah.
find
No
something to
problem.
show something. But yeah, Nubia has definitely been a part of the Wonder Woman
It,
canon, going
absolutely.
in and out for for
Hmm.
some time actually.
So if y'all
But
don't know,
there's
he's digging through his collection right now because he's about to drop something on us for sure.
yeah, I'm trying to find it.
I
But
love it.
yeah, I actually have the issue where Nubia actually shows up.
No way. You have the
Yeah, I
issue.
got it. Yeah, I got it here.
Nice.
Let me
See,
just let me
so just
pull
in
it
case y'all
out.
thought I was lying or not telling the truth, Nubia is an Amazon warrior. And she
Yeah.
is Wonder Woman
Okay.
Diana Prince's twin sister.
Oh, we can't see it really.
Oh, put it a
Hold
little
on. Let
bit
me just
closer. I
turn
might
this
be.
off. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you're gonna
just
turn the
turn
blur.
this off.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to turn off the virtual background just so you
it's
can
all
see it.
good. Oh, look at that. That's Nubia right there. That's where
Yeah.
she had challenged she had bested Wonder
Diana.
Woman. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's so yeah, these things do have a root. I mean, maybe I don't know, at some point, maybe that's one of the things we can do in the
It,
podcast is talk about different, heroes. I can
different
do a
leg.
quick
I
yeah,
like it.
legacy heroes and do a quick synopsis and we can get into all Negro Comics 1 and like all that kind of stuff too. So
Yes, yes, because I'd love to talk about my favorite Green Lantern, John Stewart.
who's getting a series? Him and Hal
Yes,
Jordan are gonna
I,
be yeah, they're starting to film it already.
I, I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah, cool, man.
Yep.
Well, any last thoughts before we wrap up? Sorry, I had to
No, I'm
drop that
good.
Nubia, and I'm glad you showed the comic of Nubia for sure.
Yeah, 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 no doubt, no doubt. Nope,
Cool,
I don't
man.
have any other thoughts.
Bet. Well, hey y'all. Until next time, Luis and Leon, and we'll catch you again.
All right, we out.